Hello everybody. This is a brief overview of the BICOMmultisoft Pilot. The Pilot is the software that controls the BICOM machines. And in this video we'll give you a brief overview of the various features, and then in subsequent videos we'll drill down into further detail. So this is based on the understanding that you've already installed the Multisoft Pilot and you're successfully connecting to your BICOM machine. When that's the case, when you connect your Multisoft Pilot, when you start the program, the BICOM will say it is now being controlled by the Pilot. So we're going to open our demo version of the Multisoft Pilot just to show you how it should work, and there's some important things to check before you proceed. So you'll notice that the measure level pops up, and it's also giving me a mat warning as well because I've not got the mat connected. So on the Optima you can actually say do a mat test, an automatic mat test, which is good to do because you know that the mat is always working, the modulation mat, and it's still connected on this device, that function. So an important thing that once you've started your Pilot, that you look up here and it says level OK. So this is used to send out frequencies from your computer to the BICOM Optima. If you're not using the frequencies in such as the CTT digitized sets or the digitizer, you don't need to have that measure level function every time you start the Pilot. So to disable that, you go to Extras, Options, and if you can see here it says measure level when starting program, so you can untick that so that it won't check the levels. You might have had a shock maybe if that was ticked and you started the Pilot, and if you didn't have your audio lead in, you'd get a very noisy static coming through your speakers. That's because it's looking for this measure level. So untick that and then press OK, and when you start the Pilot it'll no longer ask you to measure the level and you won't get that noise. If you are using the built-in frequencies, you need to make sure that your lead's connected, the audio lead. Now again, in the instructions, the audio lead goes into the headphone socket of your laptop or your computer and then onto the socket on the BICOM. So we've checked that the level is okay. That's important that that's working. And then here we're connected to the mobile demo mode. So these are important. It must say connected and it must say level OK before we can proceed. So now let's have an overview of the various features. So at the top here you've got patient therapy, EAP, CTT, digitizer and extras. So the patient system here, this page, this is where you either open an existing patient or you create a new patient. And to create a new patient you just click this here. All you need is the last name and the first name and the date of birth in the correct format to be able to proceed. Obviously it's better if you can put in the other details such as the address, contact numbers and so on. Now in the notes section, this is quite important because if you are insured as a therapist, then you have to be able to keep accurate records of your pre-consultation, your consultation before any treatment, and any notes for afterwards, because if there is ever a problem, which there never has been a known problem, but if somebody came back and said that you'd made them worse or something, you need to have a record of what was said before, what therapy was run, and if any advice was given afterwards. That's quite important that you do that. So the Pilot will help you to do that. So in every patient record you've got that information. So we would encourage you to put in details here. Notes for the therapies and notes for the patients will appear on the actual report that you print for your patient. So we won't do that just yet. We won't create a patient, but we'll go to therapy, and this is where all your therapy programs are stored. Now this is much quicker than doing it on the BICOM, and I'll give you an example for that. So let's say you wanted to run a liver program. You just type in liver, or even the first three letters, LIV, and this gives you all the liver programs that are in the BICOM. And what's good about this screen is if you maybe just click one of them, so liver detoxification, down in this screen here, it tells you what's happening on that particular program. So it's 14 kilohertz. The wobbling is off. The wobbling is where it will be at 14 kilohertz, then it just jumps down or up to wobble either side of that frequency. So wobbling's off. It's a constant frequency. It's inverted. All frequencies inverted. And the therapy time is 4 minutes. Now that's useful because if you wanted to have a different program, so let's say we went to the liver detox second program, it tells you why that's different. So it's actually an A program. So we would probably have some supportive frequencies in the input cup for that. So you can go through here. Now you can move the down key on your keyboard to move quicker through these things. And as you can see, it's changing the program details in the bottom as we go. So that's one way to find a program. If you know the program number here, you can just type in the program. So we'll go 430. Now if you notice, when I pressed 430 it went green. That means there are multiple programs associated with program 430. So if I drop that down arrow, it's actually giving me 3 different program options. Now this is interesting in that the only difference with these 3 programs is the electrode placement. So I'm going to select liver detoxification, and if you notice it's frequent. So what I'll also do is I'll put those other programs in so I can demonstrate it. So if I go the water treatment, for instance, and then I go 430 again, and I go to this one. So with 3 separate programs for 3 different things, but if you notice, the frequency is 14 kilohertz AI. If I move down, it's exactly the same. And if I move down to the next one, again, nothing changes. So what's the difference? Well, let's have a look at the electrode placement. So anything in this screen here, you can check what electrodes you need by pressing the right hand information button. It actually tells you when you float over it information about the therapy. So you click that and you can see that the electrode placement is the large electrode on the liver with blood and saliva modulation mat on the back. If I go to the water treatment, press information, it says knob electrode on the wart with input cup, saliva and garlic. So, and then just check the last one, and again that is blood and stool in that one. So that's why it's important to make sure you click this down arrow, because if I just put 430 in here and go enter, there's nothing, the program's not registered, so that won't actually do anything. So that's just how to find your various programs. So once you've found the program in this left window, because most people will do search by the actual program that they're after rather than knowing the particular number. So let's say we go to liver again, and I want this one. There's different ways to move it over here. We can double click it and it just pops up in this side, and then I'm going to delete all them again, or I can use this arrow to move it across. Again, delete all. So what's particularly great about the pilot as well is we can move multiple programs over here. So if I move this one over here, and then let's say I want to do a kidney program, So move a renal program over here. Move over. So I've got two different programs in here, and the electrode placements are different on each one. So I don't want the program just to keep running and move into that one. So I can put a pause here, and then it will prompt me to change the electrodes. So we're going to, when we get on to running therapies, I'll actually show you how to create your own lists in here. So also with this screen you can control the second channel, and the second channel is where you can bring in additional therapy frequencies whilst you're running a standard program. So if I wanted to run another frequency while I'm running the liver detox, then I'd use the second channel. So the options here are: no, not to use a second channel. I want to use an external substance, so that's something that you might put into your BICOM. So it could be echinacea or propolis, or a physical sample you would put in the yellow cup of your BICOM. That's what you'd use external for. You can set the duration, time and the amplification. But there's also many stored substance complexes in the BICOM. So if I click stored substance complexes, it brings me all these other things up here. Now you have to pick something that's different to the main therapy that you're running. So we're going to run a liver program, so we wouldn't run a liver substance complex, and there is one in here. So if I went to liver and went liver supporting, and then select and assign, it's putting liver in here as well as a liver program, which we don't want to do that. So I'm going to go back to the main list and we'll pick something different. Now again, I'll show you how to test all these various things when we do the section on the CTT. And also what I want to show you is an advanced form of CTT as well. So let's say we want to run say a hearing loss program or frequency. You go to select and assign, and this is without testing. You run acute hearing loss whilst we're running a liver detox, and then if I press start, it's asking me the usual things, are electrodes placed and so on, and then I go continue, and on the front of the screen, the BICOM, it will say liver detoxification and second channel acute hearing loss. So more on that later. So as you know, with the BICOM you can do three things whilst you run a program in the main channel, a substance complex, and then also the DMI. Now we can control the DMI down here on the from the pilot. So if I click DMI, then I want to amplify. So I've done a conductance test. My patient is 72 for instance, so low energy. I want to bring them up, so I can go to amplify. They're of medium build, so I'm going to go to 5, and then the duration is going to be 20 minutes. Once I've set all that, you'll see that this DMI now goes from grey to a button that you can press, and you just click that, and on the BICOM it starts the DMI showing as operating. So that's the therapy, brief overview of the therapy window. So the EAP section now. So this is where you use the acupuncture pen, and you can carry out a number of different tests by checking the acupuncture points and the energetic value of each acupuncture point. So if we go to this one, this is quite a short one, so this is where you do the CV value, the conductance value, and it will record the actual value and store it on that patient record. then we've got the hypothalamus right, and it shows you here where that point is, at the back of the ear, the left, and then we've got the 4 quadrants, 2 on each thumb, and then the feet as well. And so that's stored, and again we'll show you how to do that when we do the full demo. If we go to a complete test, this will give you those points that we've mentioned at the beginning, but not the conductance value, but it does the quadrants. But it also does each hand as well. And what's really good about this is if you say doing the right hand, it actually tells you. So you start from the outermost point on the hand, so on the thumb, and then you start with the lymph, and then if you go down to the lung, it's the lung, and then as it moves on, it gives you each point. You can see that moving on the hand. So it's not to tell you exactly where the point is, but it's to give you an idea. You'll know from your training where the acupuncture point is, and it stores the test results. And again, that is also in the section on the EAP testing and carrying it out. So what's really useful is you can test somebody's energetic state of, say, the triple warmer, hormone meridian. Then you can run a program on the BICOM for the triple warmer treatment, or a metabolism treatment, or a hormone treatment. And when you run the program and then you retest that meridian, if it improves, in other words, if the energetic value comes into this yellow, then you know that they actually need that program. So it's just another way of doing the Tenza test. So here we've got the options in this module, which are displayed across the top and displayed down the left side as well. The list evaluation is where you do a comparison test. Chart evaluation again, and then these are just different ways of displaying the same information, which we can show you how to do that in the next section. So that's the EAP module. Then on to CTT now. So the CTT is the part where you can purchase frequency packs. So there are a number that you can have, and whatever, if you've not bought any, then you still have all these options where you can see them. They just won't be licensed, so you can see what you're able to get, and you can use these in a demo mode, and you'll see how that works when we go through it. So we've got the 5 elements here. You've got the fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. And how these work is you check each element, the wood, water, metal, and earth. You see where there's a problem, and then when you found a problem, say in earth, you then move down through those various meridians to see where the problems are. Then when you've done that, you then go and see, well, is it viral, is it bacterial, is it heavy metal, and you test all those. Now what you really need, if you've got the 5 elements kit, which most people start with, is if you find a viral strain, you then go down to the viruses kit, and here is the viruses. So the 5 elements gives you an idea of where the problem is, but then the specific kits actually give you the name of the particular virus and so on. So if these are grey, these kits, then they're not licensed. If they are yellow, then you've got a purchased valid license which is working, which means the frequencies will actually come out of the machine and to the BICOM. So we'll go through this section in more detail a little bit later on. I'll give you an idea. So let's say we find that the fire meridian is, let's test single substance first, and then we go apply, and then we start to move down. So yeah, that's apply, negative, negative, apply. We've got a circulation problem, negative, negative. That's resonating because it's a Q. negative, and so on, and then you go through the entire kit. I'm just going to stop that, and I'm going to put the positive findings in the bottom report here. So you can see that our positive test results are here, and you can print that. And this gives you an idea of what it looks like. So I'll zoom in on this. Let's see if I can zoom in more for you. So yes, that gives you an idea of what the test results look like. So that can be printed out quite easily. What's very useful is you can run your therapy straight from here. So let's say I want to treat the fire meridian, and all you do is you move this over and click it onto that. Now, because you could put it anywhere, you've got to be right over the actual program. So I drop that in there, and you can see that that's highlighted, and I go start next program, and we're now treating the patient with that particular program and ampule. So again, we'll show you how to do all that, but this is just a very brief overview as to how this works. You can also run the second channel whilst you're running the CTT, and we'll give you an example of how that works too. So that's the CTT channel module. Then the digitizer is different in that you can actually use all your stored substances here. Now, I won't be doing any training on this because they no longer manufacture the digitizer. That might change, but this works similar to the CTT, but you're using your own stored frequencies, and usually it's therapists that have got large amounts of glass ampules already and they want to move them into a digitized format. So then we've got the extras section here, and I'll just give you a brief overview of what these do. So in the about section, this is where your license is. So this will tell you everything that you've purchased. So it'll have your customer number and your dongle number here, and then it's the products that you've purchased. So a digitizer we've got, and we've no CTT kits registered here, and that's why there's nothing showing there, but if you've purchased them, they will all be listed. What you can do with this screen, if you ever need any support, is you can highlight this information like that, right click and go copy, and then if you put that into an email, RegaMed have all the information that they need to give you remote support. If you've purchased a license, you just add the license key there, and you can put a license key in for the 5 elements, you can put a license key in for the parasites and so on, and you can just buy the kits one at a time if you like. So that's that. Remote support is really good because if you get any problems with the software, then you just click on that and it opens up the remote support, and if you've arranged with RegaMed and there's somebody at the other end, they will log into your computer and resolve any issues. These here, you probably remember that when we were in the CTT, for instance, we've got information at the top and at the side which is repeated. So if you didn't want to see that, you just untick the sidebar. I'm going to not have it on the top actually. So I'm going to have it on the sidebar because I'm on a wide screen. So it's removed all that repeated information at the top, which is quite useful. So then we've got the measure level, which we discussed earlier. That measures the volume that is right for the BICOM that's coming out of your computer. The foot switch allows you to, so particularly when you're doing the EAP and you're using both hands to use the acupuncture point, you can just click once for a no when you're going through the test sets, or double click for a yes, and it will start to fill in these positives and negatives on the CTT, and you can control here how fast the foot switch responds to you. Device configuration. This is sometimes if you've got a connection issue, then you just go to here and you click the correct port that you're using to connect your BICOM to your computer, and then you press connection test and it will tell you if everything's working okay. And if you ever lose connection with the BICOM, and I'll just simulate that for you now, I'm going to disconnect. So I've just disconnected and it's come up here, connection to BICOM device lost, and then up here it's gone red to say that you're not connected. So you go back to extras and you just go connect to BICOM, and that will restore it, and we've reconnected. So occasionally that might happen. You don't need to panic, you just go to connect to BICOM. If you've installed or had to reinstall your Pilot, it will default to the German language. So you navigate your way to extras and you just click this and here and select English, and the modern pilots have language here as well, so German and language, so you know where to go. So you just go to here and you select English and then OK, and then you have to restart the Pilot, and then when you come back in everything will be English. So you've got options as well here where you can, as we looked at this at the beginning, where you can measure the level when starting a program. You can load the last patient when you start the program, and then you've got options here to display the therapy and then how the therapy works. And we're going to discuss this very soon, channel 2 extended sequence assignments, which gives you a whole different range of options to use the substance complexes both in the CTT environment and in the therapy mode as well. So we can do invoicing as well, and we can use the MAT test, we can control sounds and so on. So that's just in some of the options. Importantly, you back up your data. Well, that can be done automatically. It will back up for you, but if you need to restore your database, or if you move from one computer to another, that's what the backup and restore is useful for. Database paths just tells you where all your data is stored. So if you were automatically backing up your laptop or your computer to a Dropbox or to some server, then you've got your path here, so you know what. That's an overview of the various modules on the Pilot. And now what we'll do is we'll go through each section and do more detailed training on each section.